We're going to take a look at quadratic functions. So I want you to go ahead and do this question right now. Pause the video. All right, now that you've done that, we're going to look at actual definitions. So I just want to show you the connection between what you already know from real life into mathematical terms. So we're going to look at from linear to quadratic functions. All right, and we're going to talk about the different characteristics. So we're going to match the characteristics to the correct part of the graph from linear. So from linear, we know what the y-intercept is. So let's go ahead and draw an arrow to that. That right there is the y-intercept. Where's the x-intercept? This is where it crosses the x-axis. That's the x-intercept. Now we're going to move into quadratic functions. And the characteristics are similar. It's just that quadratics has a few more. So let's start with the y-intercept because, again, we already know what that is. So if you're looking at where it crosses the y-axis, where does the blue line hit the y-axis, is right here. So this is the y-intercept. And we're going to go ahead and write out what is that y-intercept. So we can see the number 8 there. So if you were to write as a coordinate, you would write x first and then y. So it's going to be 0 on the x and 8 on the y. So my y-intercept is 0, 8. All right, from linear, we should be able to do the x-intercept. So this is where it crosses the x-axis. So here's the x-axis. Where does the blue line hit the x-axis? And you can see that it hits it twice, right? It hits it right here and it hits it right here. So these arrows must mean the x-intercept. And what is the x-intercept? So there are 2 points. So there's this one, which is -2, 0. And there is this one right here, which is 6, 0. So in this quadratic, there are 2 x-intercepts, all right? So that's the connection from linear. Now we have some new ones that we need to talk about. That is right here at the very top of the graph, or sometimes the bottom of the graph. So where the graph changes direction is called your vertex. And depending on what the graph looks like, so in this case, it looks like an N, this vertex is also called your max or your maximum, okay? What does that happen at? And since I didn't have a number here, we're just going to go ahead and make one up. Let's call that 9. So this vertex is 2, 9. So your coordinates for your vertex are 2, 9. All right. Once you have your vertex, you have this green line. This green line is called axis of symmetry. And what it does, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's symmetric. It cuts your shape exactly in half, meaning if you were to fold this side onto this side, it would match perfectly. So your axis of symmetry is this green line. And sometimes it's referred to as AOS for short, axis of symmetry. Now, it's very important to realize that the axis of symmetry is not a point, but is a line. And as such, it is a line that always goes through your X value. So if you notice right now, even without me looking at what number does it hit, I should have my axis of symmetry is X equals 2, because it'll always go through 2 on the x-axis. No matter what point you pick, it's always x is equal to 2. So your axis of symmetry is a line and must always be written as x equals. And I cannot stress that enough. If you don't write the x equals, that means it's not a line. So x equals and then the x value of your vertex. All right. We're going to do this one right here. So what's happening here? This side of the graph is increasing. Okay, so this is increasing. And where is it increasing from? It's increasing from all the way up to here. So the increasing and decreasing happens to your axis of symmetry. So it's increasing to the left of x equals 2. So we're going to say, instead of saying, so you start off with your axis of symmetry. Don't write this down for a second. You see it like that. But then now you have to tell me it's not equal to 2. Which side is it increasing in regards to 2? To the left. Okay, so x is less than 2, and I'm just going to put a line through that. So it's increasing on the left of your axis of symmetry. And in the same regard, what's happening here? It is decreasing. So as we're going this way, we are decreasing. And again, you start off with your axis of symmetry. Don't write this part down. There's your axis of symmetry. And then you ask yourself, is it decreasing on the right or the left of the axis of symmetry? And you can see that this is on the right-hand side. So to represent the arrow going to the right, you can see that the inequality is this part right here. So that means that x is greater than 2. Okay, that's where it's decreasing. Now, we do not include equals to, And the reason we don't include that is because here it's neither increasing or decreasing. At this point here, it's changing from increasing to now decreasing. So you don't include those two. So again, when you're talking about increasing and decreasing, write down the axis of symmetry, right? And then ask yourself, is it to the left of it or is it to the right of it? All right, the last thing that we're going to talk about is positive and negative. When we talk about positive and negative, we're talking in regards to the x-axis. So I'm just going to draw a line right here with the x-axis. And anything positive, so this is the x-axis, anything positive is above the line. So this is going to be positive. And anything negative is below the line. Okay, so this is your positive, because it is above the x-axis, and this is your negative because it is below the x-axis. Now to write out that mathematically, okay, so this part of the graph here is above, right? This part of the graph here. So from where to where? From -2 to 6, between these two numbers. And so anytime you're writing between those two numbers, what you want to do is you want to write x, obviously, because that's the axis that you're looking at. And then you want to say it's between. And these two inequalities like that will mean between. What two numbers is it between? -2 and +6. Do I include where it actually touches the x-axis? No, because at this exact point, it's neither positive or negative. It's actually 0. So we do not include those 2 points. So we're going to leave them open. All right. When is it negative? It's negative in 2 parts. The blue line is below this red line here or here. Okay. So it's in 2 parts. So it's here or here. And you hear the English I'm saying, here or here. Right? Here or here, it's negative. So you just have to write that. So it's to the left of -2, it's negative, and to the right of 6, it's negative. So to write that, we're going to say 2 things. So x is to the left less than -2, or x is greater than to the right of +6. And again, you do not include -2 or -6 because at that point it's neither positive or negative. All right, so we've gone through all the characteristics of quadratic functions. We're going to focus on the main 5. Okay, so sometimes they'll give you the quadratic where you can see the picture and you can see all the numbers. Sometimes they'll give you an equation. If they give you an equation, you're just going to go ahead and type it in to Desmos so that you can see the characteristics. They are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 main characteristics that you really want to see. All right, so I'm going to zoom out so I can see it. Zoom out, zoom out. All right, I'm going to transfer the points here onto my graph so that I can have them. And the 5 points that I'm talking about is that, the y-intercept, which is 0, -80. The x-intercept, which is here and here. So this is x-intercept. And those are going to be, you're just going to click on the x-axis, so the 2 points, those 2 points. And we're just going to round the nearest tenth. 2.6 bags of chips and 15.4 bags of chips. So this is going to be 2.6, and this one is going to be 15.4. And then lastly, the vertex. So I'm going to go click at the very top, which is 982. All right, so that I have all the information I need. And remember, once I have the vertex, I have the what? The axis of symmetry, which is x equals the x value of the vertex. So x equals 9. All right, so now that I have everything I need from the graph, please go ahead and answer example 3 questions. And please make this correction to -80. And then also answer example 4 questions. So just think through what each question is asking and then go ahead and answer it. Let's practice.